You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Imagine waking up tomorrow and nothing phases you. Not the traffic that makes you late, not the coworker who undermines you in meetings, not the relationship argument that used to ruin your entire week. You move through chaos with complete composure while everyone around you crumbles under the same pressure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men live at the mercy of their circumstances. One bad email destroys their morning. One criticism spirals them into self-doubt. One setback convinces them they're failures. They're reactive, not responsive, controlled by external events instead of internal character. But there's another way to live, the Stoic way. For over 2,000 years, Stoic philosophers have practiced daily habits that forge mental resilience so powerful that nothing in the external world can break them. Not exile, not poverty, not even death itself. Today, we're breaking down 12 daily habits practiced by history's most mentally unbreakable men. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled Rome while facing war and plague. Epictetus, who endured slavery yet became one of philosophy's greatest teachers. Seneca, who maintained inner peace despite political persecution. These aren't theoretical concepts, they're practical, implementable habits you can start today. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete daily framework for building the kind of mental strength that makes you unstoppable in your career, relationships, and personal growth. Let's discover what separates those who break under pressure from those who become stronger because of it. Habit 1. Morning contemplation of obstacles. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, didn't start his day with affirmations about everything going perfectly. He did the opposite. Every morning in his private journals, he prepared himself for difficulty. This practice, called premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization, was central to Stoic mental training. The philosophy wasn't about toxic positivity, it was about realistic preparation. Picture your typical Monday morning. You grab your coffee, check your phone, and immediately your day derails. An aggressive email from your boss, a text from your partner that feels cold, traffic updates showing a nightmare commute ahead. Your nervous system spikes. Your mind races with worst-case scenarios you didn't prepare for. Now imagine you'd spent 5 minutes that morning mentally rehearsing these exact scenarios. You anticipated the difficult email. You prepared your composed response. You visualized staying calm in traffic. When these events actually happen, they're not surprises. They're confirmations of your preparation. Your reaction shifts from panic to recognition. Ah, yes, exactly as I anticipated. Spend 5 minutes each morning sitting quietly and visualizing 3 potential obstacles you'll face that day. Be specific. If you have a difficult conversation scheduled, imagine it going poorly. If you're presenting at work, visualize technical difficulties or tough questions. Prepare your response to each obstacle. Not just what you'll do, but who you'll be during the challenge. Calm? Patient? Focused? Decide your character in advance. When the obstacle arrives, notice your preparedness. Your body won't spike with cortisol because your mind already processed this scenario. You've pre-felt the feelings. This single habit creates what psychologists call stress inoculation. You become immune to chaos through controlled exposure. But anticipating obstacles is only half the battle. The next habit determines whether you waste energy on things you can't control. Habit 2. The dichotomy of control practice. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Epictetus. Epictetus, born into slavery, developed this teaching from direct experience. He couldn't control his master's cruelty. He couldn't control being physically crippled. But he discovered he could control his judgments, desires, and responses. This distinction, between what's in our control and what isn't, became the foundation of all Stoic practice. Most human suffering, he taught, comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. You spend 2 hours crafting the perfect presentation for a client. You rehearse every word. You anticipate every question. Then the client cancels 30 minutes before. Or worse, they sit through your presentation with arms crossed, clearly having already decided against your proposal. How much energy did you waste worrying about their reaction? That was never in your control.
Their mood, their biases, their company politics, all outside your power. What was in your control? The quality of your preparation, your professionalism, your composure during the meeting, your response to rejection. Most men hemorrhage mental energy trying to control other people's opinions, market conditions, past decisions, future outcomes. They're exhausted before the day begins because they're fighting battles they can't win. When you notice stress or anxiety, immediately ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, you have a choice. Waste energy or redirect it. Create a 2-column list on paper or your phone. Left column, not in my control. Right column, in my control. When you're stressed about anything, categorize it. You'll be shocked how much falls into the left column. For everything in the not in my control column, practice the phrase, this is not mine to control. Say it out loud. Feel the release. Then immediately redirect your energy to the right column, the actions, attitudes, and efforts that are yours to command. Once you've separated control from chaos, you need a daily practice that builds emotional immunity to external validation. Habit 3. Voluntary discomfort. We must undergo a hard winter training and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared. Epictetus. The Stoics regularly practiced voluntary hardship, sleeping on hard floors, eating plain food, wearing simple clothes, exposing themselves to cold. This wasn't masochism, it was training. Just as athletes deliberately stress their muscles to build strength, Stoics deliberately stressed their comfort zones to build mental resilience. They understood that comfort is the enemy of growth. Every luxury you depend on becomes a potential source of suffering when it's removed. You've built your life around comfort. Climate-controlled rooms, food delivery apps, endless entertainment, immediate gratification for every desire. Then life disrupts your comfort. The AC breaks during summer, your income drops, you're forced to travel without amenities. Suddenly, you're miserable, irritable, unable to function. The modern man is mentally fragile because he's physically pampered. He can't handle minor discomfort because he never practices it. A cold shower feels like torture. Skipping a meal feels impossible. Going without his phone for an hour creates genuine anxiety. His baseline for suffering is so low that normal life challenges feel catastrophic. Meanwhile, the mentally unstoppable man deliberately creates discomfort. He's not shocked when life gets hard because he's been making it hard by choice. When real difficulty arrives, he barely notices. It's Tuesday. Start every single morning with a cold shower. Not lukewarm, cold. 30 seconds minimum. This does 3 things. Trains your stress response, builds willpower immediately upon waking, and proves to yourself that discomfort won't kill you. Practice strategic fasting. Skip 1 meal per week, not for weight loss, for mental training. Sit with the discomfort of hunger. Notice it doesn't destroy you. Your ancestors went days without food. You can handle 12 hours. Remove 1 comfort dependency this month. Sleep on the floor for a week. Leave your phone in another room overnight. Take the stairs exclusively. Drive without music. The specific discomfort matters less than the practice of voluntary hardship. You're training your mind to separate uncomfortable from unbearable. Discomfort builds strength, but the next habit protects you from the most dangerous threat to mental stability, your own narrative. Habit 4. Journaling without self-deception. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. Marcus Aurelius, from his private journals. Marcus Aurelius never intended his meditations for publication. They were private notes to himself. brutally honest self-examination without performance or pretense. He questioned his own motives. He called out his own weaknesses. He reminded himself of principles when he strayed. This daily practice of written self-reflection kept Rome's most powerful man grounded in reality while surrounded by people telling him whatever he wanted to hear. You tell yourself stories every day. I'm not getting promoted because my boss has it out for me. My relationship is struggling because my partner doesn't appreciate me. I'm not progressing because I don't have the right opportunities. These narratives feel true. They protect your ego. They place responsibility outside yourself. But they're often lies. Comfortable lies that prevent growth. The truth might be, you're not getting promoted because your work is inconsistent. Your relationship struggles because you've stopped genuinely listening. You're not progressing because you're choosing comfort over challenge. Without daily written honesty, these self-deceptions compound. You drift further from reality. You make decisions based on false narratives. You become mentally weak because your foundation is built on sand. Stories you've told yourself rather than truth you've examined. Every evening, write for 10 minutes in response to these 3 prompts. Where did I lose control today? What did I do well today? What will I do differently tomorrow? No editing, no performance. No one will read this. When you write about problems, force yourself to identify your role. If you write, my co-worker was difficult in the meeting, follow with, and I contributed by. Even if it's 10% your fault, own that 10%. This practice destroys victim mentality. Review your journal weekly. Look for patterns, recurring complaints, repeated mistakes, consistent deflection of responsibility. These patterns reveal your character weaknesses. Name them. They can't be changed until they're acknowledged. Honest reflection reveals your weaknesses, but this next habit ensures you're building strength in the right direction. Habit 5. Daily progress toward virtue. If you didn't learn these things in order to demonstrate them in practice, what did you learn them for? Epictetus. For the Stoics, philosophy wasn't academic. It was practical training in virtue. They identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Every day was measured against one question. Did I grow more virtuous today? Not more successful, not more comfortable, more virtuous. Because virtue, excellence of character, was the only thing they believed led to genuine human flourishing. Everything else was indifferent. You track your fitness, you track your finances, you track your screen time, but do you track your character development? Most men have goals for what they want to achieve, but no goals for who they want to become. You want the promotion, the relationship, the respect, but you're not systematically building the character traits that earn them. You want courage, but avoid uncomfortable conversations. You want wisdom, but don't study or reflect. You want justice, but excuse your own ethical shortcuts. You want self-control, but can't resist the phone, the snack, the temptation. The mentally unstoppable man knows that achievement without character is hollow. He measures his days not by productivity, but by virtue. Did he speak truth when lying was easier? Did he face fear when avoidance was available? Did he treat others fairly when selfishness was tempting? Did he exercise restraint when indulgence was offered? Choose one virtue to focus on each week. Week 1, courage. Week 2, honesty. Week 3, patience. Week 4, discipline. Rotate through them. You can't develop all virtues simultaneously, but focused practice compounds. Each morning, set one specific virtue challenge for that day. If it's courage week, identify one uncomfortable thing you'll do. Have the hard conversation. Make the phone call you're avoiding. Speak up in the meeting. If it's honesty week, commit to 0 exaggerations or omissions today. Score yourself each evening on a simple scale. 0, failed completely. 1, struggled but tried. 2, succeeded with effort. 3, embodied naturally. Track your scores. You're not aiming for perfection, you're building awareness and incremental improvement in character. Virtue gives you direction, but the next habit gives you the armor to maintain it when others pull you down. Habit 6. Guarding your attention. It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. Seneca. Seneca understood that external events don't determine your mental state. Your attention to them does. He wrote extensively about protecting your mind as you would your body. Just as you wouldn't willingly consume poison, why would you willingly consume toxic information, destructive relationships, or mental junk food? The Stoics practiced selective attention ruthlessly. They knew that whatever you consistently give attention to shapes your character, and ultimately, your destiny. You wake up and immediately check your phone. 20 minutes later, you've consumed. Political outrage designed to trigger you. News about tragedies you can't influence. Social media comparisons that make you feel inadequate. And advertisements convincing you you're incomplete without their product. You haven't even gotten out of bed, and your mental state is already hijacked. Your attention, your most valuable resource, has been stolen by algorithms designed to exploit your psychological weaknesses. You wonder why you feel anxious, scattered, mentally weak. It's because you're feeding your mind garbage. The average man gives his attention to whatever screams loudest. The unstoppable man guards his attention like a fortress. He knows that mental strength isn't built by exposure to everything. It's built by deliberate exposure to what elevates, educates, and empowers. Implement a strict morning attention protocol. No phone for the first hour after waking. No news, no social media, no email. This isn't extreme, it's essential. Your morning mental state sets your entire day's baseline. Protect it. Audit your daily attention diet. Track what you consume for 3 days. Every podcast, video, article, conversation, scroll session. Then ask, is this making me stronger or weaker? Is this building the person I want to become? Delete ruthlessly. Unfollow without guilt. Your mental health depends on it. Replace toxic attention with constructive attention. When you feel the urge to check social media, read philosophy instead. When you want to watch the news, listen to something educational. When you're tempted to gossip, have a meaningful conversation. It's not about deprivation, it's about substitution with superior content. You've protected your attention from external pollution, but the next habit protects you from internal destruction. Habit 7. Responding, not reacting. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Frankl. Though not an ancient Stoic, Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps by applying Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught that we're not disturbed by events themselves, but by our judgments about events. Between what happens to you and your response is a gap, a moment of choice. Untrained minds collapse this gap. Stimulus and reaction become one. But trained minds expand this gap, inserting reason, judgment, and choice. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you rage. Your partner says something critical, you attack. You receive negative feedback, you spiral into defensiveness. Your coworker takes credit for your work, you explode in the meeting. These reactions happen instantly, automatically, unconsciously. You're not choosing them, they're choosing you. Your emotional state is controlled by external events like a puppet on strings. Then later, when you've calmed down, you regret your reaction. You knew better. But in the moment, you were hijacked. This is the pattern of the mentally weak, immediate, unconscious reaction. The stimulus bypasses their reasoning and triggers automated emotional responses programmed by past conditioning, trauma, or instinct. They're not living, they're being lived by their nervous system. The mentally unstoppable man has trained a different pattern. Pause, assess, choose response. When triggered, he notices the trigger. He feels the emotion, but he doesn't act from it. He inserts space, even just 3 seconds, between stimulus and response. In that space, he becomes free. Practice the 3-breath rule. When something triggers you, anger, fear, defensiveness, take 3 deep breaths before any action or words. This sounds simple. It's devastatingly effective. Those 9 seconds allow your prefrontal cortex to catch up to your amygdala. Reason catches up to emotion. Name your emotions out loud when triggered. I'm feeling angry right now. I notice defensiveness. This is fear. Psychological research shows that naming emotions reduces their intensity by 30 to 50%. You move from being the emotion to observing the emotion. That shift is everything. Develop a response library for common triggers. If criticism typically makes you defensive, pre-write your response. Thank you for that feedback. Let me think about it and get back to you. If someone's rude, pre-decide, I'm going to respond with unexpected kindness. You're programming better automatic responses to replace the destructive ones. You've mastered your reactions, but this next habit ensures you're building something meaningful with that control. Habit 8. Evening reflection and correction. I will keep constant watch over myself and, most usefully, will put each day up for review. For this is what makes us evil, that none of us looks back upon our own lives. We reflect upon only that which we are about to do, and yet our plans for the future descend from the past. Seneca. Seneca practiced rigorous evening self-examination. Before sleep, he would review his entire day, every action, every word, every thought, not to beat himself up, but to learn. What did he do well? Where did he fail his principles? What will he correct tomorrow? This habit closed the learning loop. Without reflection, experience doesn't become wisdom. It's just stuff that happened. You finish your day exhausted. You collapse on the couch, scroll your phone, watch TV, and go to bed. Tomorrow you wake up and repeat the same patterns, the same mistakes, the same weaknesses, the same unconscious behaviors. Why? Because you never examined them. That difficult conversation where you got defensive, you never reflected on why or how to respond differently. That moment you chose comfort over your goal, you never analyzed the decision pattern. That time you snapped at someone you love, you never processed what triggered you. Without evening reflection, you're not learning from your life, you're just living it on repeat. Every day becomes Groundhog Day. The same character weaknesses produce the same results, produce the same dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, the man who reflects compounds his growth daily. He makes new mistakes instead of repeating old ones. Establish a non-negotiable 10-minute evening ritual before bed. Sit somewhere quiet with your journal. Ask these 3 questions. When today did I act according to my principles? When did I fail them? What specifically will I do differently tomorrow? Visualize tomorrow's challenging moments with your new response. If you got defensive in a meeting today, replay the scene with your ideal response. Mental rehearsal creates neural pathways. You're programming tomorrow's better behavior tonight. Celebrate your wins before you critique your losses. Start with what you did well. This isn't toxic positivity, it's sustainable growth. If you only focus on failures, reflection becomes punishment. You'll avoid it. But if reflection includes acknowledgement of progress, it becomes reinforcing. You'll crave it. Daily reflection compounds your growth, but this next habit ensures your growth has purpose. Habit 9. Memento mori. Remembering death. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics regularly contemplated their own death, not morbidly, but practically. They kept skulls on their desks, meditated on mortality, and reminded themselves, "You will die, perhaps today." This wasn't depression, it was liberation. When you truly internalize that your time is finite and its endpoint unknown, trivial concerns dissolve. Petty grievances become absurd. Procrastination becomes intolerable. What matters becomes crystal clear. You live as if you're immortal. You postpone important conversations. You tolerate toxic situations, for now. You waste hours on meaningless activities. You delay pursuing what matters because there's always tomorrow. Then someone you know dies unexpectedly. Suddenly, perspective floods back. You realize how much time you've wasted, how many things you left unsaid, how many dreams you postponed. For about a week, you live differently, more intentionally, more gratefully, more courageously. Then you forget. You slip back into unconscious living. The urgency fades, the clarity disappears. You return to behaving as if you have unlimited time, which you absolutely don't. The mentally unstoppable man doesn't wait for a death to remember death. He contemplates mortality daily, not to become morbid, but to become alive, to live each day as if it's both his first and his last, full of wonder and urgency simultaneously. Every single morning, say this sentence out loud. I will die, perhaps today. This day is all I'm guaranteed. Feel the weight of it. Let it clear away the trivial. Let it prioritize what matters. Conduct the deathbed test for your decisions. When facing a choice, how to spend your time, whether to have a difficult conversation, whether to take a risk, ask, if I were on my deathbed looking back, which choice would I regret? Then do the opposite of that. Write your own eulogy, not the sanitized version, the honest one. He was kind. He was courageous. He lived by his principles. He loved deeply. Write who you want to be remembered as. Then each day, live one sentence of that eulogy. If it says, he was courageous, do one courageous thing today. You're not waiting to become that person. You're being that person now. Mortality gives you urgency, but this next habit ensures you channel that urgency toward what matters most. Habit 10. Serving something beyond yourself. What is your vocation? To be a good person. Marcus Aurelius. Live for others if you want to live for yourself. Seneca. The Stoics understood that humans are social creatures designed for contribution. Self-focus leads to anxiety. Self-transcendence leads to peace. When you serve something larger than yourself, family, community, principles, humanity, your personal problems shrink to their proper size. You gain resilience not through self-protection, but through self-offering. You wake up thinking about your problems, your career stress, your relationship issues, your financial worries, your personal goals. Everything revolves around me. And paradoxically, this self-focus makes you miserable. Why? Because human beings aren't designed for pure self-interest. We evolved in tribes where survival depended on contribution. Our nervous systems are wired for meaning through service. When you live purely for yourself, something in you dies, even when you're successful. The man stuck in self-focus is mentally fragile. Every setback feels catastrophic because his entire world is himself. Every criticism cuts deep because his self-worth is his only worth. Every failure threatens his identity because achievement is his purpose. But the man serving something beyond himself has resilience that self-focus can't touch. His company fires him? He's upset but not destroyed. His purpose extends beyond any job. Someone criticizes him? It stings less. His value isn't determined by any one person's opinion. He fails at a goal? He adjusts and continues. His meaning comes from contribution, not achievement. Identify one person you'll serve today. Not transactionally, genuinely. Your partner. What do they need that you can provide? Your child. Where can you be present? A friend. Who needs to be checked on? Make serving one person per day non-negotiable. Commit to one regular act of service that costs you something: time, money, comfort. Volunteer monthly. Mentor someone in your field. Support a cause financially. The key is regularity and sacrifice. If it costs you nothing, it builds nothing. Frame your daily work as service. You're not just doing your job. You're serving your customers, colleagues, or community. You're not just working out. You're maintaining the body that serves your family. Reframe every activity through contribution. This shift from "what can I get" to "what can I give" is the difference between anxiety and peace. Service gives you purpose, but this next habit ensures you maintain perspective when that service faces obstacles. Habit 11. Practicing amor fati, love of fate. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. Epictetus. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Friedrich Nietzsche, Stoic influenced. The Stoics didn't just accept what they couldn't control, they embraced it. This wasn't resignation, it was radical acceptance. Whatever happens is material for virtue. The obstacle is the way. The adversity is the opportunity. Not, "this is fine despite being terrible," but "this is exactly what I needed, even if I can't see why yet." Your carefully planned day collapses. Your project gets cancelled. Your relationship ends. You get sick. You lose the opportunity. Your immediate reaction: "This shouldn't have happened. This is wrong. This ruins everything." That resistance, that insistence reality should be different, is your suffering. Not the event itself. The event is neutral. Your judgment that it's wrong is what torments you. You're fighting with reality, and reality is undefeated. Now imagine responding differently. This happened, therefore it was supposed to happen. Not morally, but factually. It's now my material to work with. What's the opportunity here? This isn't delusional optimism. It's practical wisdom. Since you can't change what happened, you have two options: resist it and suffer, or accept it and respond. The mentally unstoppable man has trained himself to love his fate, all of it. Not because it's all pleasant, but because resistance to reality is insanity. What happened, happened. The question isn't, should this have happened? The question is, now that it happened, who will I be? When something unwanted happens, practice saying, "This is exactly what needed to happen." Not, "This is good," or "I'm glad this happened." But, "This is what happened, therefore it's what needed to happen." You're training acceptance, not delusion. Actively search for the hidden opportunity in every setback. You lose your job, forced opportunity to pivot to work you've been scared to pursue. Relationship ends, forced opportunity to develop independence and self-knowledge. Health issue, forced opportunity to finally prioritize your body. The opportunity exists. Your job is to find it. Keep an amor fati journal. When difficult things happen, write, "What happened? Why this might be exactly what I needed, and how I'll use this." Review this monthly. You'll discover that many of your past disasters were redirections toward better outcomes. This builds trust in the process. You've learned to love your fate, but this final habit ensures you're building unshakable strength through the most overlooked practice. Habit 12. Strategic silence and solitude. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Blaise Pascal. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics regularly practiced withdrawal, not from life, but into themselves. Seneca retreated to reflect. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations in solitude. Epictetus taught in quiet settings away from city chaos. They understood that constant noise, constant company, constant stimulation prevents the deep thinking necessary for wisdom. The mentally strong man isn't afraid of silence, he seeks it. You're never alone with your thoughts, ever. You wake up to notifications, you commute with podcasts, you work with background noise, you exercise with music, you eat while watching TV, you fall asleep to content. Every moment of potential silence is filled. Why? Because silence is uncomfortable. In silence, you hear your own thoughts, many of them uncomfortable. Regrets, anxieties, questions about your life's direction, unresolved emotions. It's easier to drown them out than face them. But here's what you're losing: clarity, deep thinking, self-knowledge, problem-solving, creativity, mental reset. All of these require silence. When you constantly fill the silence, you're running from yourself. And you can't build mental strength while running from the very mind you're trying to strengthen. The unstoppable man builds regular solitude into his life. Not loneliness, solitude. Chosen time alone with his thoughts, without input, without distraction. This is where he processes, where he thinks deeply, where he reconnects with himself, where mental strength is forged in quietness. Implement 1 hour of complete silence weekly. No phone, no music, no podcast, no TV, no conversation. Just you and your thoughts. Walk in nature. Sit in a room. Drive without audio. The specific activity matters less than the silence. This will be deeply uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is exactly why you need it. Practice gap moments throughout your day. Don't fill every transition. Commute in silence sometimes. Eat a meal with just your thoughts. Wait in line without pulling out your phone. These micro moments of silence add up to macro benefits of clarity. Conduct quarterly solitude retreats. Half a day or full day alone. No agenda beyond thinking, reflecting, and reconnecting with yourself. Review your journal. Assess your progress toward who you want to become. Ask big questions. This practice separates those who drift through life from those who deliberately design it. Let's bring this together. You've just learned 12 daily habits that ancient Stoics used to become mentally unstoppable. Habits that work as powerfully today as they did 2,000 years ago. The 12 habits. Morning contemplation of obstacles. Prepare for difficulty before it arrives. Dichotomy of control practice. Focus only on what you can influence. Voluntary discomfort. Train resilience through chosen hardship. Journaling without self-deception. Confront truth without ego protection. Daily progress toward virtue. Build character, not just achievement. Guarding your attention. Protect your mind from mental pollution. Responding, not reacting. Insert space between stimulus and response. Evening reflection and correction. Turn experience into wisdom. Memento mori. Remember death to remember how to live. Serving something beyond yourself. Find resilience through contribution. Amor fati. Love your fate instead of resisting reality. Strategic silence and solitude. Build strength in quietness. Here's what's remarkable. You don't need to implement all 12 tomorrow. That would be overwhelming and unsustainable. Start with 1. Master it for 30 days. Then add another. In 1 year, you'll have integrated all 12 habits. Your mental strength will be unrecognizable compared to today. The men who built empires, survived imprisonment, faced death with composure. They weren't born mentally unstoppable. They built that strength through daily practice of exactly these habits. You have access to the same tools, the same philosophy, the same practices. The question isn't whether these habits work. 2,000 years of results prove they do. The question is, Will you practice them? Because knowledge without practice is just entertainment. You can watch this video, feel inspired, and change nothing. Or you can choose one habit today and begin. Start tomorrow morning. Choose one habit, maybe morning contemplation or the cold shower practice. Do it. Then the next day, do it again. Then again. You're not trying to become perfect. You're trying to become 1% more mentally resilient every day. In 100 days, you're not 100% better. You're twice as strong. That's the mathematics of compound growth applied to character. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Marcus Aurelius. If this resonated with you, if you're committed to building genuine mental strength through ancient wisdom applied to modern life, there's more Stoic philosophy, practical guidance, and daily practices waiting for you on this channel. Subscribe and explore the path of the mentally unbreakable. Remember, every Stoic philosopher started where you are now, aware of their weakness, seeking strength, willing to practice. The difference between them and everyone else wasn't talent, it was commitment to daily habit. You have that same capacity. Now go prove it to yourself. You're capable of far more than you think. You're far stronger than you feel. Start proving it tomorrow morning. One habit, one day, one choice at a time. Become mentally unstoppable.